Oh, thank you, Derwin. All right. So I'm placing my hands on my heart, taking that deep cleansing breath of love and gratitude. Hmm. So grateful and thankful to be here, to be able to be in this space with my beautiful brothers and sisters. Grateful for our willingness to dive deep into the teachings of a Course in Miracles and um, to live the teachings to the best of our ability, to forgive ourselves when we're not living them um, the way that we would like, and to know that it is all perfect, it is all good, it is all God, it is all helpful. We're grateful to shine away any and all blocks to love, knowing that they are being returned to the nothingness from which they came. We're grateful for our earthly and heavenly angels, all of our mighty companions that walk with us and talk with us and lead us and guide us each and every moment of every day. We ask that they join us now, surrounding and supporting us, blessing this conversation, blessing all those here, all who may listen later, blessing the technology that we use to come together each and every week. And we're grateful that we can share the blessings that we receive, the blessings that we are, the love that we are with Mother Earth and all of her beings, because we are one. In grace and gratitude, we let it be. And so it is. Amen. So we are still in the Song of Prayer. We're in chapter 3, Healing, section 2, False versus True Healing. And I'm going to start us off with the first sentence of the um, first paragraph, the last couple of sentences, and then into paragraph 2. False healing merely makes a poor exchange of one illusion for a nicer, in quotes, a nicer one, a dream of sickness for a dream of health. Yet there is a kind of seeming death that has a different source. It does not come because of hurtful thoughts and raging anger at the universe. It merely signifies the end has come for usefulness of body functioning. And so it is discarded as a choice, as one lays by a garment now outworn. This is what death should be, a quiet choice, made joyfully and with a sense of peace, because the body has been kindly used to help the Son of God along the way he goes to God. We thank the body then for all the service it has given us, but we are thankful too the need is done to walk the world of limits and to reach the Christ in hidden forms and clearly seen, at most in lovely flashes. Now we can behold him without blinders, in the light that we have learned to look upon again. And I thought, wow, isn't that isn't that like the best description of heaven that I have ever heard in my entire life? Like I really desire, um, deep desire of my heart to have that kind of death, to be honest. Like I am not in a hurry to die. I love so many aspects of this seeming life that I'm living now. But to be able to lay aside the body as a quiet choice, there's that word quiet again, Robin. And I really, it's interesting because when I read that, it brings so near to my heart my dad's best friend, Doug, who to me was the ultimate demonstration of living the teachings of A Course in Miracles. And I know I've mentioned this before, but he was an alcoholic, to the point where he basically alienated his entire family, his wife, ex-wife, and his all of his children. And he had cancer near the end of his life. And I remember my parents telling me about a time when he came over to their house for dinner, and he was sitting at the table with them, and all of a sudden, like, he started glowing, like this light just started emanating from him, and they just were staring at him like with wide eyes and open mouths, and he was just sitting there with like a shitty little grin on his face. I obviously he could feel that there was something happening that was joyous beyond compare, but like never acknowledged that it was anything other than what any single one of us could obtain. And his passing, um the only thing that his passing left was this hole where his lovely heart uh was within everyone who knew him. You know, like, we missed his physical presence, we missed his the joy that he brought into the room, we missed the wisdom that he brought into the room. And um I'm not sure if his family ever got to experience him like that, but I was so grateful that we did as a family. Yeah, and I just imagined that that was kind of his passing. And I know that my own father's passing, though it was did not seem to be peaceful and quiet the way that he went, that it really seemed like it was a choice that he made, you know, where like there were so many things that led up to, like, he had told my mother about, you know, like, if anything ever happens to me, there is a suit in a bag at the back of my closet that I would like to be laid out in for my funeral. Like, he had told my mother that just weeks before he died. And my mother was the one that was sick all the time, and he was not. So, you know, there were just so many things, and how my dad used to say stuff about how he never wanted to be so sick that his family would have to wait on him, or he would have to depend on anybody else. Like, to him, that was the ultimate in torture. So the way that he went, though it was gruesome, it was so quick that I know that it was his choice to go. And so I really do I really do desire to have that place where I feel like I am leaving in a peaceful aura, where I know that the people around me have received the whole of me that I could possibly give to them, and that I'm just ready to move on. So, anyways, that's where I'm starting us off. Thank you.
And
Yeah, go ahead, Robin.
I think this is appropriate. I remember when your dad passed and how much love you had for him through crying, and you cried with us, and it wasn't like just one time, and
Yeah.
it was this deep, deep sorrow. Um, and I remember maybe it was around Thanksgiving, you all, or Christmas, and you came together to make these beautiful times. So that's uh, just a history that I have with you, and I wanted to share.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Yeah, thank you for acknowledging that. I did. I had a hard time grieving my dad. But I think a big part of that was because, you know, then I was like, I dove into that taking care of my mom role and didn't give myself the time to grieve. So, you know, when I would come to classes and talk about him, that was my time to, like, really let myself be seen and heard and felt.
And it was so perfect to be with
Yeah.
this group, that group,
Yeah.
role. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Robin. I appreciate that. Carla.
Okay. I was looking at you and I was, I mean, me. So I think there's a lot, uh, for me, of really valuable stuff here. And I'll try to condense it. I think one of the passages I wrote, you already read, so I won't read that one. So it was the first part of 3, paragraph 3. We call it death, but it is liberty. It does not come in forms that seem to be thrust down in pain upon unwilling flesh, but as a welcome, a gentle welcome to release. And for it's before I go on, it's like we've given death, the word death, and the whole concept of it, a negative thing. Like someone I knew, which is happening more, it seems like now, passed on Tuesday, the body, and he just got symptoms of some illness, sickness, whatever you call it, physical symptoms, like less than a month ago, and now he's gone. And so the person who called me said, "Oh, isn't that horrible? He's gone." And I'm like, I'm really grateful that he didn't suffer a long time. And she goes, "Oh, that's a good way to." And so I'll go on to the next one. It was paragraph 4. This gentle passage to a higher prayer, a kind of forgiveness in the ways of earth, can only be received with thankfulness. And so, yet, first, true healing must have come to bless the mind and loving pardon for sins it dreamed about and laid upon the world. And so I'm going to read something that I kind of took up from the reading, and it dawned on me, what if everything we thought was real wasn't? And this is from a movie I watched several years ago, and I'm thinking, why am I reading this? But when I heard this one line, this 1 minute, I knew why I had read it. So, and this is where art imitates life, I think. And it dawned on me, fear is not real. The only place that fear can exist is in thoughts of the future. It is only a product of our imagination, causing us to fear things that at present and may never exist. Fear is a choice. We're telling ourselves a story, and that day, mine changed. And now I'd like to say this is exactly that day mine changed, but I saw that and I could not let go of the role meanings I'd lived all my life. So if I let go of all those meanings that I have thought was true, who am I? You know? And it was very unsettling. And why was it unsettling? It wasn't unsettling to the true self, it was unsettling to the false self, what we call ego. Because if I truly, truly lived that way, it would kind of undo all the stuff that I thought I'd learned and taught myself, or what I thought was true, whatever. And so I'll read it again. And it dawned on me, what if everything you thought was real wasn't?
Yeah, thank you, Carla. Go ahead, Leslie.
Hi, everyone. Yes, Robin, thank you for acknowledging our sorrow and sadness we had with Linda when your dad passed. Linda, I remember being so shocked, and it was a lot to watch you go through that, and I know we love you so much, and it hurt us to see you in that kind of pain. Yeah, I want to just start with the first paragraph. Is that what you read, Linda? I was a little bit late.
I just read the first sentence, so go for it, girl.
Okay. All right. Well, that was my sentence too, but okay. False healing merely makes a poor exchange of one illusion for a nicer one, a dream of sickness for a dream of health. This can occur at lower forms of prayer, combining with forgiveness kindly meant, but not completely understood as yet. Only false healing can give way to fear, so sickness will be free to strike again. That first sentence is so interesting when we're trying to heal our bodies, and yet we know the bodies aren't real, and yet we do all these things to try to heal them. I just want to share a success story I have, especially Linda, because you're here and Carla's here and Robin's here, and I know the four of us started in Master for the Living. I think wasn't it 2014 or 2015? Yeah, 2014. That's what I thought. Yeah, and I remember, and Robin, you especially will know this story because you were my prayer partner for so long. But I remember Jennifer saying that she would get people off antidepressants. And I have been on antidepressants, and this is not something I share with many people, for 17 years. It was a long time that I've been on them. And I remember just if I was even late, and God bless antidepressants if you need them. They are so helpful, and I'm so grateful that I was on them when I needed to be on them. But I remember hearing Jennifer saying that, and I remember thinking, but she doesn't understand. I even miss a day, or I'm like a few hours late and I fall apart. I start crying, and I have all these symptoms and blah, 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 blah. And I just didn't think it was possible. I kind of thought she was, sorry, Jennifer, I love you, but a little nuts for telling people they can just get off antidepressants, Well, gosh, it was about a year ago. I just started thinking, why? Probably longer than that. Why am I on antidepressants? I am not unhappy. I am a happy, joyful, spiritual person on this walk. I'm so glad to be alive. Why am I taking this pill every day? So then I started doing some research on it, and I found out that a lot of antidepressants, most of them, and I was on Effexor or venlafaxine, and a lot of antidepressants, the side effects of getting off of them are most of the symptoms you have of depression. Plus a lot of physical symptoms. A lot of physical symptoms. So I started on January 20th, and you have to taper. And so I was on 150. So I tapered and I got down to 75. And then I got down to 37.5. And then it got down to nothing as of July 2nd of this year. So after 17 years, I'm finally off antidepressants. And it was not an easy journey. It took me 5 months. I had the nausea, the night sweats, the vomiting, the dizziness, let alone the moodiness and irritability and the crying spells. It was not easy to get off of it, but I persevered. I prayed a lot, and I know, Robin, you'll be so proud of me because when I've just been on them forever, and I'm just like, why am I on these things? And I was really, I guess the reason I want to bring this up is I've done really good at not being attached to results. It's like I had a goal that I wanted to get off of these things. I did not feel like I needed them anymore. And praise God, I don't. Not to say that anybody else that's on them doesn't need to be on them. I'm not talking for any. I want to make that perfectly clear. Please, if you need to be on them, be on them. But I knew it was time for me to get off of them, and it was not an easy journey. And yet now that I'm on the other side, I'm like, well, it wasn't so bad. But the months of nausea and the insomnia and not sleeping and the tiredness, I mean, it was a bitch. It really was. So it's just interesting. False healing merely makes a poor exchange of one illusion for a nicer one, a dream of sickness for a dream of health. So basically what that's saying is, whether I'm on antidepressants or I'm off antidepressant, it's still a dream. None of it happened. So I can be proud of myself if I want. I don't really want to say it's pride. I'm just grateful to be off of them, and grateful I made it to the other side, because there was a time when when I went down to 37 and a half, there was like 2 weeks where I'm like, I can't do this. I have to go back to 75. I can't do it. But I did it one day at a time, one step at a time. And it's just something I wanted to share with you guys for about a month now, because it's just now been about a month that I've been symptom free of any of the what I call tapering effects. So I'm so grateful I made it. Robin, I did it. I finally got off of them. And
You sound so wonderful, and yeah, just you don't need them.
No, and I don't feel
every time you've come to this meeting, you're here without that. So good for you. And it is, and we don't want to tell people to get off because it really is helpful at times.
Right.
When people have to do that.
Right. And I mean, when I first got on them, I was very sick with MS. My career was, it was a very, very tough, stressful time in my life. And I remember going to the neurologist's office, and I just picked up a magazine back in the day, and it was like, do you have these symptoms? And it was like, check, 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 check. I had every single one. And even suicidal ideation. I was depressed. And so my neurologist put me on it, and it was like, I just kept getting refill after refill and never questioned. And then my one neurologist passed away, who I love dearly. And then my new neurologist, just kept refilling. And then I remember I talked to my primary care physician, a new one, just for like 2 years. And he's like, so you're on effects or how's the depression? I'm like, I'm fine. I'm happy. I don't feel depressed at all. He's like, okay, so it's managed. I'm like, well, I guess, thinking to myself, I don't need to be on it, so I'm just grateful, and I just wanted to share with you guys. And even if it's part of my happy dream right now, I'm really happy to be in a new chapter, and it's just so nice not to be tied to those pills. Because first thing in the morning, I would check my vitamins to make sure that, because I lay out my pills for the whole week, I'd make sure that my happy pill was in there, because it has such a short half-life that 4 hours later I would feel the effects. And it's all because there's side effects from getting off of it. Amazing. I never knew that. So I love you, Jennifer, and you're not crazy, and I should have listened to you since 2014.
I'm so happy for you, Leslie. And I'm grateful to know that there is no judgment here for anybody who needs to be on antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, whatever medication that you're using, whatever magic you are using from the world to help you get through the day, use it until you don't need it anymore. I'm right in that. Yeah.
Thank you for seconding that, Linda, because I 100% agree. And one of the hardest parts was I didn't tell my husband, because I was just so afraid that especially when I was irritable and depressed and crying, he'd just be like, get back on the happy, get back on the, what are you doing? Get
Right.
back on the pill, get back on the pill. And I finally did tell him, and he was so hurt. And then I felt so bad.
Oh,
But we got through it, and it's okay.
yeah.
So I did the best I could with, I made the best decision I could at the time, and I don't regret it. So, yeah, I'm just grateful.
Yeah, me too. Congratulations, my friend.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Carolyn.
Yes. Yes. I'm gonna keep myself no video because I
That's
had
fine.
an interesting morning and my hair is wet right now. Had to
Yeah.
wash it. I am so glad you shared that, Leslie. I'm so glad you shared that because there was a point where I tried getting off my antidepressants, same formula that kind of you were using. And I understand why the actually APRN from the gynecologist had prescribed it, for the symptoms. And it did work and it was great for that, but I never knew how difficult it is to get off of it. And that, with me feeling better by being in Power of Loving ministry, I have considered doing that, of trying to what they call titrate down or eventually. So if I do decide, I would love to have your telephone number so maybe you could be a support. But right now I'm gonna leave it the way it is. You were talking, Linda, in the beginning about your dad, and that was really precious. I wish I knew you back then when that happened. But you're a love anyway, so I don't know if anyone else has felt this way, but I just wanted to share, and this is the first time I'm really sharing it, since I did my practitioner training because we address death. And I was a single mom for most, I would say, most of my life. And that has been really hard for me. Like when I would think I'm a little bit better, but when I would think that should I pass away, who would my sons have? My two sons. And I'm getting teary-eyed. I'm so grateful and thankful that I have an individual relationship with both of them. And I'm very close. There's something about being a single mom and you're just so close to your kids because they bring you through everything and there isn't the male figure or a positive male role model in it. And there was a point when they actually lived with their dad when we were in California, because that's where we separated. And then they stayed with their dad in Illinois. And then finally, I wanted to take care of them. I couldn't take care of them at one point. And that journey was so unbelievable. I don't want to get into that because we're talking about death. But I don't know if anybody else has experienced that. My sons are grown men now, so they're not toddlers or anything like that. But I know in my heart that they are capable of handling their own lives. And I just love them so much for the men that they are. And I'm so grateful that Spirit directed me into what I needed to do. So what I did was, when they came back in my life, I met them where they were, because their father was too permissive. And I knew that if I began telling them to do this and do that and discipline and everything, I knew that it wouldn't work. So I met them exactly where they were. Even going to Ozzy Osbourne concerts. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, sweetie. And, you know, I don't know if anybody has experienced that, but I just want to say the love that I have for them. And I had a woman, a medium, actually, a psychic. This is what it blew me away. And it's so simple. She said to me, you really, I mean, yes, you have a relationship with your sons, but she says, you really like them. You know, how many of us like our kids? Some of us don't like them, but, you know, that's my son, you know. But it was just so revealing to me. I go, yeah, I really do like my sons. I have so much fun with them when I'm with them. So with that, I'm going to pass. And I welcome any feedback.
Yeah, thank you so much, Carolyn. Yeah, I've been lucky enough not to have to be a single parent, although there are times when I have felt, you know, because I was always the disciplinary one, felt like I was a single parent. And I have to say, I do like my son. I admire him for the man that he has become. And when he turned 18, we as a family and a couple of his friends went to Ozfest. So right there with you with the Ozzy Osbourne thing. Yeah, I, I'm grateful that you were able to meet them where they were, and that I know that they are better men for you having done that for them. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for your journey. And Linda Kay wrote, Kelly Brogan, MD, wrote a book about getting off antidepressants, A Mind of Your Own. She says it's an excellent book for anyone that might be interested in that. Yeah, I have to say, I myself have been on and off antidepressants and anti-anxiety medications since I was in my 20s. So for like the past 40 years. And I have a much easier time putting myself back on them when I know that I need to go back on them, and weaning myself off of them when I feel that it's time to do that as well. So yeah, I have no problems talking to people that have been on and or off of medications of any kind.
Yeah, and Linda, I just want to add too that I don't think I could have done it without reading the book, The Antidepressant Solution, and it's by a doctor. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but you can certainly Google it, because he talks about, he's very specific about whatever drug you're on and the taper program and what he suggests doing. So I appreciate that, Linda Kay, that you brought up reading a book too, because that's definitely helpful. And yeah, Carolyn, if you ever need my support, let me know.
Yeah, I find it interesting that because I'm the antidepressant that I take is also Effexor. And it sounds like that's what Carolyn was taking as well. So yeah, interesting that we're all on the same one.
And it's interesting because he said that's one of the hardest ones to get off of because it has such a short half-life.
Yeah.
So that's miss a dose, you feel it so much quicker than some of the other ones stay in your system longer, whereas effects are like 4 hours, it's gone after the time. Like, let's say I take it every day at 7 a.m. If I forget and don't take it by 12 o'clock the next day, it's out of my body. So
Yeah.
that's why you feel the severe effects of it. It's very interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. Awesome. Anybody else like to share anything from our conversation, from the reading? Go ahead, Kathleen.
Well, I came on a little late, but I was, this is all about healing. And I'm just wondering if the people who are feeling healed, like going off the medications, is that because you feel like your mind is healed now and then the body heals afterwards? I did that course with Robert Perry, where every week we got together and talked about how to heal other people. And it talks about it right here, false versus true healing. That our minds have to be healed first, and then the other person's mind will heal. And those people are people sent to us by God to be healed. And I just wonder if people have been practicing on other people or practicing on themselves. The technique that Robert uses is to, go past the person's body and go through the cloud of their guilt and tell them they're forgiven, and then see that dark cloud disappear, and then start to see Christ's face and the light of what that person really is, which comes back to you. And so then you become one, and now you're one in Christ. And sometimes, I've been practicing it a lot, but I don't have any idea if people are getting healed. And I don't have enough courage to say to people, would you like me to try to heal you, with the trust that God has sent me that person. So I don't know how that will continue in my life, whether I'll actually start asking people, would you like me to do a healing with you? Just kind of seek God in your mind, or just calm your mind, and just, I'll going to tell you what I'm doing, and we're going to see if we can heal your mind, because it's your mind, not your body. So I'm just curious if people have been practicing this. And I also just like all the stuff about death that it's talking about, just gorgeous. The death is good, just gonna be this great experience. Yeah. And if I look for the body's cure, then it could be false healing. So I don't know how to recognize the difference. So anyway, just curious if people have been practicing healing, since we're reading healing.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in the prayer practitioner training, which is a requirement now for the spiritual counselors. It was not when I got my spiritual counseling certification, but I decided to take it anyways, just because, like, who can't use more practice praying for people? And I've not heard of Robert Perry's version of that healing, but I know that I have been praying violet flame prayer for Rudy for the past few weeks, and he knows that I'm praying it. And I know that when he went to his doctor, or to his infusion appointment, and had his blood work done, that the viral numbers, the viral load is down. And the only thing that changed was the fact that I was praying that violet flame prayer, because it was before they lowered the dose of his infusion medication. And I think I may have mentioned, I'm not sure if I mentioned it here or not, his doctor wanted him to have an antiviral medication, and the insurance company denied it. So he did not receive that medication. And yeah, so that and he knows I have told him that I was praying that. And I just feel like when I am seeing that violet flame imagery, when I'm praying it, it's basically I'm seeing him as his divine perfection, um, not having an attachment to what that means. You know, if it meant the opposite of what is appearing to be the result at the moment, then I still would accept that as divine perfection. Um, so yeah, I've not tried Robert Perry's, but I love the imagery that he uses that you were just talking about.
This morning he was talking about, like, why is it so hard for us to heal ourselves and others? And it's because we want to be right about others, like talking about your teenage kids. Instead of just seeing them who they are, we
Yes.
want to be right. And so we had us meditate on someone who we thought is wrong no matter what. Of course, I was thinking about Trump,
Mm-hmm.
and just using him as an example of how my ego wants to judge somebody as they absolutely can't be right. So that was a perfect person for me to pick. And what do I know about Trump's life? I don't know. But he was a good one for me to practice, just seeing light, him as light. We're all the same as light, or
Yeah.
your teenage kids are the same, we're all the same divine children of God. And just praying that and knowing that, I feel like I can do that most of the time. I don't listen to the news, so I don't get opinionated. I don't want to get opinionated about things. But he asked at the end, there's 200 people there, and he asked us to put into the chat how many people feel like they really do think that everyone is the same, and there are not a group of people who are absolutely wrong, and
Mm-hmm.
hardly anyone can do it. Most people were really honest. No, I can't do it. I can only do it if I think it's a dream. I can't do it, So it was really interesting.
Yeah.
Judgmental we are, and how it keeps us from trusting God.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, who would we be without our judgments, right? Leslie and then Carolyn.
Just real quick, I just wanted to comment, Kathleen. I absolutely think that I'm healing my mind, and I don't think I could have gotten to the point of even wanting to be off of the antidepressants had I not done all the work and healing that I've done with the Course in Miracles. It's like I could not have, obviously 17 years was the amount of time I needed to be on because I wasn't ready before then. But I have not actively tried to heal anybody else. And I think that's really cool that you are doing that, even if people don't know it. So that's awesome. Very neat.
Yeah. Thank you, Leslie. Carolyn.
Yes, thank you, Kathleen, for saying what you said about teenagers, because what it did was it reminded me, and maybe this is why, hello, this is why, this is why maybe this helped me. I remember in 1992, I had a reading from a numerologist, and one of the great advices she gave me was, because I had my son's birthdays with me. She said, bring your son's birthday. She said, Mother, they came into this, of course, I was always spiritual my whole life, but Mother, they came into this world to learn their own lessons. And you have nothing to do with that. And that helped me so much. So it's just that it really, when you think about it, it's like the Course saying, all you need to do is love them. Just love them, right? And that's not to say they didn't get into trouble. But I did have the idea of, you're responsible for what you do. So you reminded me by saying that about teenage, you reminded me that I had that wonderful advice. They are their own persons and they have their own personalities. And another thing that I wanted to add, I was in the 12-step program for many, many years in Al-Anon and in AA. I'd go to AA meetings. And what used to bother me, and I love the 12-step program, it's a wonderful program, but what used to bother me was when people in the meetings projected the behavior of their kids. They have an alcoholic personality. So that's your perception. And after a while, when I'd hear that, and I say, no, I'm not going to project that onto my sons. That's not to say they may not, that they won't have a substance abuse problem, but I'm not going to project that onto them. And that has helped me, because then I would have projected, my ex on them, which you do anyway, but it was eliminated quite a bit. So I just wanted to just share that.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Carolyn. I agree. The whole thing with the teenagers, I mean, that was one of the things that, for whatever reason, if it was something I read in the course, I had that sense that, my son had his own lessons to learn in his own way. And so I hardly ever had a problem with him, like, being out late past when I would go to bed. I would not lose sleep over him being out late. I wouldn't be up fretting and worrying about him. Not that, like you said, that he didn't get into trouble. I mean, he did come home one day with a half sleeve of tattoos on his arm that I was pretty pissed at him about. And I didn't talk to him for a couple of days after that. I mean, he called and asked, and I said, don't do it. He regrets it now that he's 35, but it was something that I had that trust in him. So I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you. Derwin. And then Nancy Gal.
Hello, beautiful light workers. So many things that that touched me when I listened to you all. Death, talking about death. I recently had a friend who I've met in 12-step in a 12-step program that I'm still doing service there for almost 4 years now. Every week, every Saturday near the beach in The Hague. And I met this friend there who went on to study further into becoming a counselor for trauma, for people with traumas. And he was now doing his own grief, mourning, and death part. And he knew about my, what shall I call it? I wouldn't say fascination, but I take my breath around that. And I take my time to process that. So we wanted to do the sessions together, 7 sessions in total. And yeah, and to have this conversation about that now today as well. And this chapter, and I'm very appreciative as well. Full into paragraph 2. I just don't like the word death. I prefer transition for some reason, but that's my meaning. That's my attachment to that is the end. I do not have hands-on experience with antidepressants, but for me, I do have experience with other ways of numbing my emotions, and whether cigarettes. And I'm so grateful for Linda. You there. Linda has encouraged me, I think last year when I took and my self-sabotage for the 2nd time. I joined with my cousin, and it was something about Linda's story with cigarettes that I that was April 2022 was the last time that I bought a pack of cigarettes. And now and then I still smoke when somebody offers or social, but I'm so happy that I do not feel a need really to have my pack. Even if I'm not smoking anymore, I need my pack. I still have my issues with drinking now and then. And so I relate to 17 years antidepressants or 20, 30 plus with, this is my way of self-medicating and I'm working on it. But I also recognize when, I forgot who said it, but working on my own healing on the level of the mind, because I numb, because I want certain things to be numbed, whether it's my consciousness, whether it's my pain, but it numbs more than it numbs a lot. And working on in this program, but I must say also my spiritual awakening really started in the 12 steps programs, and I took it further with ACIM and this beautiful club. I realize sometimes when I self-medicate, when my mind thinks I need a strong self-medication, and you know, that rum or that whiskey, and I take it, I'm like, yeah, it didn't do much for me because certain pains I've been working on. So I experience it being less useful in the moment when I self-medicate. So I feel so much progress being done by working on the level of the mind as well. And I send a warm hug to anyone who is fighting this in a way and sending those hugs of love, and that also that can be overcome by working on the level of the mind. That's it from me. Thank you for this wonderful topic. I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah, thank you, Derwin. Just taking all that in. I'm so glad that you're feeling a little bit of freedom from that smoking. And I mean, this is the third time that I've quit. It'll be 3 years in January. Yeah. One day at a time, sweet sister, sweet brother, sweet everybody. Go ahead, Nancy Gale. Bring us home, girl.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's see. I am experiencing both happiness, which comes and goes, and joy, which stays, and peace, and all. It's just like I've never been happy. I never laugh all the time. Sometimes I question of this: is this appropriate to laugh now or not? But it's like I'm going through all that. It's like, anyway, basically happy, joyful. And I said the other day, and I said, no, this is joy. This is what joy feels like. But just and things like I have to take this thing in. It may have a virus or it may not, but I don't know. And there's nobody. Well, anyway, so all kinds of things are going on, and I've become the observer. And it's like the little child, and it's like I'm applying all these little things, and I'm all these different things, and it's like I'm just letting them all, allowing them all to be. They say, I think it's in the 12 steps. I was like, went to Al-Anon from my daughter, codependency, adult child of a, codependent parents and all that, whatever. And you're sick as your deepest secret or something like that. You remember something like that. Which is, anyway. Okay, so now I'll say, I started out, what I wanted to share was my different experiences where I was at a funeral where I knew it was like, okay, I was going to an Ayurvedic practitioner up in Rochester for a long time. He was the son of his parents were missionaries. He grew up in India, and anyways, and then his dad died, and Lewis and I, he's my Chinese, he friend of mine, he's Chinese. He had a restaurant and all this and all that, and he we kind of shared all the different spiritual type things that, you know, he'd say, come with me to this, and I'd say, come with me. But anyways, so we went to the funeral, and his name is Sonam. His name is Sonam, and he plays, like, he's got like 500 flutes. He plays all of the wind instruments that anybody has. He can play all of them, you know, and the drums and the I can't even remember the name of all the different things, but and he was he said he left the what was it, the brass and all those, he said, left for somebody else. They could, you know. But anyways, he did the eulogy and everything, and he was standing up in this church, and up in the front was all wood and everything. It was very quiet, and it's like, then he started playing the flute. He played, you know, his father's, like, some of the hymns, and where he was like up in the pulpit area, like, and all this green light, just, it filled up with this green light, and it just surrounded him, and the green is like, that's the love, you know, and everything. And I thought, and I said to Lewis, I said, you see that? I'm looking around to see if anybody else is saying, nobody. It's like Lewis is like, yeah. And it was like, I knew. And it's like, oh my gosh. And different things like that have happened and to me, you know, which I, you know, don't have time to explain them all, but those types of things. And before I was even in studying the course, before I even knew all this stuff, but I have those instances that now I can look back and say, that's what that was, things like that. And it's just like, and I'm instead of lining up the negatives, or if a negative shows up, I have it's like spirit is like saying, bringing up the stuff, and I, for the opportunity to say, oh, and it's like, now I know why that happened, or why they did that, or whatever. And it's like, I'm so glad, Leslie, that you said, you when you decided whatever it was, you did the best you could at the time. You made the best choice you could, and I'll always remember that. When I just learned that, what, in the past year, a year ago or something, that, so, and then, but I said, oh, that's why but I always got to remember to apply it to myself. So was I always forget that. It's like I'm forgiving everybody else, and it's like, oh, but me too. But anyway, so that's one of the big things I've learned. And years ago, when I was beginning this journey, like, I don't know if you know, but Nick Davis, he's a same type of person as Jennifer over in England. And he had similar journey type. And I remember one of the, I had the cassette that, no, it was a CD. And the example he was talking about was, he was having trouble with someone, or that he didn't like him or something, and when he was on his way to the church or the school or wherever he was going, he made a decision from the course, and was like, he's just like, in his mind, this is all about healing, you know, not telling other people what you're doing. You're just doing it and see what happens. And so every time he'd get near, he'd see this person, he would just think, I forget what he'd think about the truth about who she was or whatever it was, and just see what happened. And it took little while, didn't take very long, but then everything changed. But he never said a word to her. He just did it. It's like, and so I keep thinking lately now, I am thinking, or I read somewhere, it's about us. It starts with us, because we're all one. So it's like, it's like Jennifer said a while back, something about, if we think somebody else should do this or should do that or whatever, and if we it would say things that are like, you know, oh, here's a, you know, I'm giving them a voice and all this. So it's like being, it's like that person's going to feel like you feel that the judgment of they are less than or something than the person that's judging them. The person is, the judger is better than or something like that, smarter than or whatever. And that person is going to know that and feel that, or even if you don't use those words, it's like, and so somewhere in the course it says it starts with you. It's like you're the only one you can heal, basically. And then it's what is it about the psychology in that psychology pamphlet or something? I remember it's like it talks about the psychologist, the therapist, whatever they need to heal or something, their healing journey, and and that starts with that person rather than the clients,
Yeah.
so they
I'm
can't be
gonna
helpful. Can
I'm gonna
you, yeah,
pause you, sweetie, because we're 2 minutes after.
okay. So, but anyway, that's those are the things that I keep remembering. It's like, and I know in the Catholic, well, in all the churches, even in the churches I was in, it's like, you got to evangelize, you got to tell them. And it's like, and at the time, my pastor would send me out to do, I said, no. And I'd come back and I tell him, I said, no, that person wants to go back to her church. I said, that's fine. He said, that's okay. But I was like, he was judgmental, preachy thing, you know, it's like, but, sorry, Roger. But at the time, and that's why you know, every time I heard that, it's like I have all kinds of stories. I wasn't like that, and I said, I don't want to do that.
Yep. We're only doing the best that we can with what we got in any given moment.
Right,
Yep.
right.
I'm going to wrap
So,
us up because we're at 2 minutes
thank
after.
you.
You're welcome. Thank
Okay.
you. So next week we will do section 3, separation versus union, and we have just one more section after that. And then we will be in the psychotherapy pamphlet. And luckily, Derwin posted this link. So I will put it in our WhatsApp group and in the Facebook Messenger group as well. So if you don't have the pamphlet, you don't have to purchase it. You can just view it online as a PDF. I'm going to read quickly.
Linda, can you put in the chat also the whatever we're going to do after we finish this?
I will put it in the WhatsApp chat. Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
So my insights for lesson 234 today, Father, today I am your son again. My Father is love, and I am love's son, or love's extension. As love's extension, my only job is to extend love. I am willing today to practice remembering my true identity as love's extension. I am willing today to practice letting go of the false identity I have latched onto as an individual separate from God. This is not where my safety lies. My safety lies in returning my mind to the true identity where I reside eternally as one in God's universal love. Father, today I am your son again. This means I am willing to look at the thoughts that deny this truth and hand them over to be undone in your loving light. This is now what time is for, to return to my true identity as love. There are many stories about people who were separated from their parents at birth or at a young age, who as adults felt a need to find their birth parents. We all have a desire deep within our hearts to return to our parent, our source. If we think we are a body, we will search for what we believe to be the source of that body, our birth parents. But this is just a reflection of the deeper inner desire to reconnect with our Father with love. Our true and eternal sense of completion can never be found in the world of form. Our true completion is in love. This is the only place we will find lasting happiness. Only in love will we feel truly at home. Only in love will the gnawing sense that something is missing disappear. Only in love will we know our wholeness. When we believe we are separate, Love seems to be lost to us. We may hear the call of love in our hearts, but if we think the world of form is real, we will search for love where it cannot be found. Love cannot be found in a special relationship with another body. It is not found in another body that shares our DNA. Love cannot be found in winning awards or any special circumstances in the world. Love is found within because love is what we are. Love is found by remembering we are love's extension, by knowing again that we are God's son. I rest today in God's loving embrace by practicing accepting myself as his loving extension. That is how I know that I am my Father's son again. As I practice this, I feel the safety of love's sure protection, and I remember I am free. Thank you, God, for being my Father, my rock, and my salvation. I need nothing else, for there is nothing else but your love, which you have given wholly to me. Thank you. And thank you. I'll see y'all
Thank
next.
you, Linda.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a great week, everybody. Much love.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.